Peace and love, twin. What's going on, twin? Hold on. Be cool. Be cool. Today we got another reaction for you, twin. Let's do it. Let's do it. Today we are watching 19 Keys, The Secret Steps to Properly Handle People. The Brief, episode 10. Episode 10. So he's done a couple of these videos. And I've been seeing them on Instagram and stuff like that. But I only get to see clips because, you know, you can't really put an 18-minute video on Instagram unless you're going live or something like that. So I seen this clip on Instagram scrolling past it, and I really actually wanted to listen to what he had to say. YouTube, I do not own copyrights to this video. This is his page. I'm just reacting to it. And 19 Keys, if you see this, I appreciate what you're doing. You are a true influence to my life. You are a true inspiration to me becoming a better man. Keep going and keep doing what you're doing because you're really out here inspiring the young black males. All right. Like I said, this video is 18 minutes. I'm trying to get through the whole thing, but if there's so much that I have to break down or anything like that, I'm not going to try to go the full length because that means that this video is going to be at least 30 minutes, and I do not want to do a full 30-minute video because a lot of people lose interest fast because their attention span is very, very itsy-bitsy tiny, okay? So, without further ado, before we get started, don't forget, Twin of them has a community Discord. This community Discord is for young individuals who are looking to make a change in the world, real life change makers, okay? In this Discord, we are going to discuss different changes that we would like to make in our country, in our region, in our community, in our culture. And we're going to put action and we're going to create a plan to actually take action with those plans. Some of it might be locally, but some of them we just might be able to collaborate on some things and be like, just bounce ideas off of each other. So this is really a group where you can interact with different like-minded individuals. So, but without further ado, let's get into the video. I'm excited. Can't wait to hear what he has to say. He got a lot of wisdom. Let's get into the video, twin.
I only like to argue with people that I love, and I'm cool with. Number one, avoid arguments. I really do avoid arguments with strangers and people that I don't know. But avoiding arguments altogether will decrease your stress levels and have you living an anxiety-free life, especially in relationships. There's really no point in a relationship for there to be an argument unless there's a lack of understanding. When two people understand each other, they don't argue because it's not about winning, it's about building, right? In a conversation, it should be about finding common ground and building a harmonious relationship. So I'm listening to you, you understand my point. You're listening to me, you understand my point, right? And therefore we have empathy in the conversation and we come together, right, for an agree or agree to disagree. But there should be no reason why we're arguing, especially if we come to a point to where we feel that we can't move forward with it. So if you build on...
I feel like that's an actual fact. Like, I feel like most of us, when we try to have conversations, we're not allowed to have different perspectives. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like when I tell you what I'm thinking, it's what I'm thinking is the right thing and what I'm thinking is the right way, but that's not necessarily true. Other people are going to have different ideas. They're going to have a different perception, a different perspective of the way that they see things. But you have to be always open to new perspectives and new ideas, because if you stay in your one simple mind, how are you going to gain that wisdom and understanding if you only have that one understanding that you have and you don't feel like anything else is the right way except for your way? That doesn't make sense to me. And then that's where arguments happen, because you don't want to understand that other person, and you're just like a brick wall, and they just running into your ass because your ass don't want to have a conversation. You just want to argue about your point of view. But let's keep going.
Put on common ground, you avoid that, and you keep the emotions and feelings that people have to you in a favorable way, in a positive way. So I don't argue with people because I also think steps ahead of people most of the time. So if you ran a scenario about how the conversation will go in your head, right? I keep part archetypes of different people that I meet. Let's say I meet somebody that is a Trump fan, right? They love Donald Trump. So I already know if I go into this argument or go into this conversation talking about how, yo, I don't think Donald Trump is good for America, that's going to spark an argument. No matter what I say, right? Politics and religion always cause arguments because it deals with faith and belief and deep seated things. So if I say I don't think Trump is good for America, why? A person stops listening after the first statement, right? Instead, I want to start with something that's a bridge builder rather than something that destroys the bridge, because now you're putting somebody on defense. I can talk about how I think, American politics could be better so that we can have an America that is actually truly free. And America goes beyond what its past was and move further into a better future. And I want good leadership to do that, right? And I could talk about how we need to take a deep look at the leadership, even when we're in agreement with them or when we're in disagreement with them, and ask ourselves, what type of America do we want? I'm really not saying anything that's open for an argument, right? I'm laying out generalities, and these are moral positions that most people are going to take. General morality, if you will. So generally, people want to be good, right? And they believe in good leadership, right? They believe that good leadership should be X, Y, Z. So now it's up to you to decide whether the leader that you have in your mind is good and or bad, right? And if you're going to operate with the Socratic method, then you're going to ask questions, right? Asking questions lead people to agreeing with you versus disagreeing. What do you think is a good leader, right? What do you think should be the main thing that the president should focus on? What do you think constitutionally people should do when they believe they don't have two good choices?
Actually being interested in what other people have to think about. Like, the conversation doesn't always have to pertain you giving your perspective, right? When you conversate with people about different topics, he was saying that the way that you just generally engage in the conversation, you give them general things to talk about. You don't automatically tell your perspective. Like, you give them like a general idea, and then both of you expand on that general idea, so then you both can try to understand each other. And then that's when you kind of go back to what he said in the beginning of the video, where you can either agree or agree to disagree. You know what I mean? And I actually just posted something in Threads, right? And I was talking about the YN trend that's going on right now, right? And how I think that trend is something, it's a double-edged sword, bro. Because I feel like us glorifying that trend makes other young kids want to become that person because we think it is funny or we think it's cool, when I feel that it's not cool. But if you go on my Threads and check that out, please, 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 please tell me what you think about that. And tell me what you think about that entire trend and what's going on right now. Because I gave my opinion, but I also want to hear other people's opinions as well. And that kind of just related to what he was just talking about. And I kind of realized that as he was talking about that, and I didn't want to, I had to correct myself type shit. So, but anyway, let's get back into the video.
Right? I'm allowing them to ask the questions. The more yeses you get, the more likely somebody's going to agree with you. right? So instead, you're leading people to an understanding rather than telling them what to think. This is the best way to avoid arguments. Ask questions, don't tell answers. Number two, respect opinions. Value perspectives, right? And you can actually say that I value your perspective. Start off on the best foot, right? Especially before you go low on the left foot, because you always want to be right. That was just some wordplay. Show deep respect for opinions of others. Never tell someone they are wrong. Validating their viewpoint fosters mutual respect and opens the door to constructive dialogue, right? So you always start off with, I value your perspective. However, you can use bridge words like however, although, instead of words like but, right? Because whatever after you say but, it already neutralizes everything that you said before that. Like nothing that you said before that mattered. But it's already, a bridge.
Think about what he's doing. It seems like we actually don't know how to have a genuine conversation, so he has to break it down for us so we understand how to actually have a genuine conversation without having an argument. Like that's crazy. It's come to the point where we can't have a conversation, and every time we have a conversation, we argue. Why are we arguing? I don't get it because I don't like to argue at all. And if I feel like we're starting to argue, I'll leave the conversation alone because I don't have time to argue with you. Because you're not going to respect what I think, but I have time to respect. Why would I respect what you think if you're not going to give me the time of day to respect what I think? Right? I am you, you are me. If I'm going to respect you, you should be respecting me. That's just the way it go. Balance.
Is for disrespect for me. Somebody can say, I like what you're wearing, but no. I like what you're wearing. Although, what if you do this? You ask a question again. You're not telling an answer. I like what you're wearing. The black, I think, compliments you well. Although we are going to a day party and it will be hot. Do you think
That's how
this
you do.
is
That's how you do criticism, constructive criticism. If okay, I'm gonna give y'all a play real quick. Go to Life with KB and watch the video where he talks about how my brand is trash. Okay, strictly entertainment. Okay, but at the same time, I told him in that video, I'm like, you can criticize what I got going, right? Like I respect you for doing that, but at the same time, bro, like if you gonna do that, you gotta tell me a way that I can improve instead of just saying like my shit is trash. You know what I mean? And like give me like the reasoning. You know what I mean? So then I completely understand it that way I can fix it. But if you just saying your shit is ass, like that's gonna make somebody angry. That's gonna make somebody mad. But if you give them constructive reasoning and uh constructive criticism, then they have no reason to be mad because you're actually presenting them with a reason of why they think that, and then like, hey, bro, I don't mean no disrespect by that, you know what I mean? But blah 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 blah, this. But he breaking it down though. He getting to it.
it's the best outfit for the day based on the setting? Now you're allowing them to come up with an answer. They're going to, as they answer that question, they're actually going to give you their full perspective and they're going to argue with themselves on the reason why or not. And they're going to weigh it. And they're going to be like, you know what? Actually, I thought about that already. So now they're letting you know they already thought about it, right? Or they're going to say, I haven't thought about that. Now you're persuading them, right, to make different decisions. Or they're going to be like, it actually doesn't matter. I just want to wear black because it looks good today. So that's what I wanted to go with. This is fly. I just bought this. So now you're just listening to their whole thought process by asking a question, right? Therefore, you don't have to go back and forth with them. And perspective is someone else's viewpoint. We all don't see at the same level, same angle, right? There's differentiating factors of why we see things from class to creed to color to wealth status, right? To educational backgrounds, to religious, to ethnic backgrounds, right? To sex, sexuality, race. there's so many different variations that we can put together as to why we come to our perspective, who we are, how we grew up, blase, blase. So you have to respect people's perspectives, and then you give.
That is something that we cannot do, bro. And it genuinely irritates me because my motto for my brand is I am you, you are me, right? Not meaning that everything we do has to be the exact same thing. Everything we think doesn't have to be the exact same thing. But in the way of I respect you, you respect me, I'm honest with you, you're honest with me, right? We don't have to be necessarily doing the same thing, going the same place, but I want what's right for you just like you should want what's right for me. So I'm going to collaborate with you because I want to see you go further, and you should want to see me go further, right? But at the same time, people are so stubborn to think that everything has to be so uniform. Everything has to be the exact same. And if it's not the same, then it's wrong. And that's far from the truth. Because our value as humans is the fact that everybody is different. Like nobody's thumbprint, nobody's fingerprint is the exact same because we're all meant to be different. We all have different DNA. None of us look the same unless you're a twin, obviously. Right? So embrace that different part, right? And embrace those different perspectives, embrace those different philosophies, embrace those different ideas, because those different ideas, those different philosophies, those different perspectives help us to grow, right? Because we're just piling on top of what we already know. And then we're able to draw it back to us and use that information that we've gained from other people's perspectives. And we can draw connections to each one that we've learned. No bullshit.
Give them yours as well. And if they value your perspective as you value theirs, then they will see possibly a bigger picture as well, because now you're giving them two viewpoints. It's like creating a 360 map of a room. If I show you the room from my perspective, all I see is the front. If you're faced this way and you show me the room from your perspective, you're going to see the back. Now, if we share perspectives, I can see the front and the back.
Exactly.
Right? And if we get our peripheral perspectives, now we can get a whole 360. So it's more important to share perspective. This is my perspective. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. And a perspective is always neutral, right? Because a perspective doesn't say that another person's view or ideas are wrong. It leaves room for both of them to be right. And those shared perspectives allow both people to get a full picture and understanding. And when you share perspective correctly, you both should learn something new. So respecting people's opinion is not just good for the other person, it's good for you so that you can learn as well, because you never know what listening and respecting other people's perspectives would do to add on to your own. Number 3, admit mistakes quickly.
We're going to go to
Embrace
4.
accountability.
If
you're wrong, you're wrong. Do it swift, do it emphatically, and then move forward. Right? It boosts up humility and trust and sets a powerful example of integrity. Right? And this allows people to be obsessive, powerful, and then move. Embrace accountability. Admit mistakes quickly. Embrace accountability. If you're wrong, you're wrong. Do it swift, do it emphatically, and then move forward. Right? It boosts up humility and trust and sets a powerful example of integrity. Right? And this allows people to be able to deal with you because they're not going to say that you're difficult. Oh, that person is very easy. They know that if they present something to you or if you do something wrong, then you're going to correct yourself without having to be corrected, meaning that you're not going to create more confrontation in the situation, because people do not like confrontation. So if you're often wrong and people have to confront you, they don't want to be around you. So think about that. But if you're wrong and people confront you and you can admit you're wrong, that's not much tension. But if we have to go through this whole back and forth, then there's going to be a problem. But also within that, you have to be willing to forgive quickly as well if people are willing to admit their mistakes quickly. So don't hold.
That was a bar. That was an absolute bar. Accountability is one thing I feel like in our culture we have a huge problem doing. And I'm talking like on a like mass scale, bro. Because I want to say this, okay? We riot and we fight and we scream and we shout about what everybody else is doing to us. But one thing we don't take accountability for and we don't point at ourselves enough for is hurting each other. Right? And I'm big on that, bro. Like I'm super big. Like that is one thing that I do not like. We don't take accountability for hurting each other. Like we'll fight against somebody else for hurting us and we'll shame them and all that. But when it comes to look at ourselves, we don't do that. You understand what I'm saying? Like that's why I feel like it's important for us to have character. And I feel like it's important for us to have those laws set inside of our culture and our communities because those laws, they can be personal laws or like laws that are actually written down, like, you know what I'm saying, that we have to abide by because now we know that there are going to be consequences for harming ourselves and there are going to be consequences for other people harming us as well. You know what I'm saying? And if we're not able to take accountability for ourselves, how are we trying to make somebody else take accountability for hurting us if we can't even take accountability for ourselves? That's why I feel like other people look at us crazy because we sit back and we allow ourselves to do what they're doing to us when they can just say, well, you guys are doing it to yourselves, so why can't we do it to you? You know what I mean? Even though it doesn't make it right. But at the same time, take accountability for what we're doing to ourselves. Like if I see you, no bullshit. If we see, say it's a group of us, it's a group of young men, and we on the street, we just vibing, kicking it, cooling, and we see something go down, and we all agree, and everybody else in the neighborhood agree that that shit was not acceptable. What you did was foul. And so now all of us have to confront you because now there are consequences for what the fuck you just did. Because that shit was not cool. So now when we confront you, you cannot say that you didn't know because these are laws that everybody in that community and in our culture agree on. And we have such an influential voice in our culture and who we are that anything that we make popular is going to become popular everywhere else. Anything that we do, anything that we shine light on is going to become popular everywhere else. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, we are so influential that if we completely flip the script overnight and say we're not doing this anymore, the entire world will respect us and the entire world will change because we literally are the change makers in this world. We literally are culture. We are the definition of culture. Anything that we do, any trend that we create gets followed by the entire world. But there are dark sides to us and there is a light side to us. There are some things that we do that shouldn't be acceptable and there are things that other people take from us that really are a good side of us. You know what I mean? But I feel like we should shine more light and depict more light on that light part of us, that positive side of us, instead of portraying that dark side of us. Because if we shine more light on the dark side of what we do in our culture, then that becomes the culture. But if we shine the light and depict the positive side of our culture, then that becomes the culture. And that's the side that we truly need. While we push that to the forefront, the light side of us, we work on the dark side, right? It's just like you personally. Who you are at home truly is who you are out in public. but people don't necessarily see it because you have to portray it and you have to put on a facade to fit in, right? But when you're at home and you're by yourself, you have these thoughts, you're doing things that you wouldn't do out in public, but you are aware of the things that you're doing when you're at home that you know you have to fix and that you're trying to fix, I hope. And then when you're out in public, you're just letting that good side of you show. And it's the same way in on a macro scale. And also, I would like to say this. I know this is a long spill. And I said we were going to get to 4, but we're not going to get to 4, but I just want to spill this real quick. I would say when you, as an analogy, right? When you have an enemy, let's talk war. Let's talk war real quick. Let's talk war real quick, okay? Turn me up. When you have an enemy and you're showing your weaknesses to your enemy is going to use those weaknesses against you, right or wrong. That enemy is going to use those weaknesses against you because those are your weaknesses and that's how they beat you. But if you're depicting strength, integrity, humility, brilliance, and you're projecting all these things and they are seeing these things and you're not showing that weak side of you, of the things that you truly need to work on, and you're not showing the holes in your armor, then they perceive you to be stronger than, I wouldn't say stronger than you are, but they see you as stronger because they don't necessarily know your weaknesses anymore. But I'm going to finish out this point. I know this video getting long. I hope I entertained you enough, and I hope that what I have been saying you can relate to, but let's continue with this. I don't know, it was a long spiel, and I apologize. Let's keep going.
Hold on to things, going back, allowing that to linger, because all you're doing is replaying that moment in your mind, and the emotions of that moment will be reconjured. And now instead of it being picked up and dropped, you're holding on to it like a weight. When you hold a weight, it's heavy, right? While you're doing a repetition, it's heavy. Only while you're holding it. When you drop it, the weight does not affect you. It's the same thing with problems. The more you hold on to a problem, the heavier it is, the more effect it's going to have on you, your body, your emotions, everything. The moment that you drop it, doesn't matter how heavy that problem is, it no longer has an effect on you. So you have to learn how to admit mistakes quickly, forgive quickly, and drop things when they're over. Number 4.
All right. I'm going to end it right here. If you want to watch the full video, there's 9 minutes left in the video. I'll have the link to this video in the description. Look in the description. The Discord will also be in the description. Go check the Discord out and go join the community. All the social medias are in the Discord and in the description. We appreciate you, twin. I don't think there's anything else I gotta tell you. But I appreciate you. I like you tuning in. Peace and love.